Let's talk eyeshadows. So many people get so overwhelmed with eyeshadows because they just don't know the proper placement or the colors that they should be using. I'm here to help you not only pick out the colors that you want, but also teach you a super simple 3-step eyeshadow technique that anybody can do. And although I don't have hooded eyes, this technique is gonna work even if you do. I always like to start off first by prepping my eyes. I take a little bit of my brightening concealer shade and I'm just gonna pop that on my lid. I'm going to take my 3D brush and just blend this out all over my lid, and this is gonna create a nice and even base that is going to make my colors really pop. From here, I'm going to go ahead and set this with a little bit of that translucent powder and just stamp that all over to make sure that our eyeshadow stays in place all day long. I'm going to use an eyeshadow brush that looks like this. It has a fluffy side on one end and then a smaller side on the other end. The key to this 3-step eyeshadow look is making sure that you always have these 3 shades. First one being a mid-tone shade that you're going to place in the crease. The second one is totally optional if you want a little bit more dimension, and this is going to be a darker shade that you're going to put in the outer corner of the eye. Last one is going to be whatever shade you want to use on the lid. I personally like a little bit of glimmer and shine, so I like to do a shimmer shade for this one. Start off with the fluffy side of the brush, and I'm going to dip into that mid-tone crease shade. The biggest tip that I can give you is making sure that you're holding your eyeshadow brush straight forward versus up or down. However we hold the brush, that is where the eyeshadow is actually going to be placed. For my hooded eye girls, this tip is for you. Find your crease, and if you want your eyes to look larger, place the color above the crease. Since I already have large eyes, I'm going to keep my eyeshadow right at the crease. As you see, I apply this in a windshield wiper motion to place the color down. To blend, we're going to go back in with the same brush, no additional product, and just go in a circular motion to buff out those edges. Then this is probably the step that everybody gets wrong, the outer corner shade. You want it to be a little bit darker than the crease shade, and you can make it as dark as you want. I always say start a little lighter and then you can work your way up to a darker shade. Take this pencil side of the brush, and instead of using the tip, we're going to use the flat side of the brush to pick up the color. This is going to help us to create the shape that we want. You're going to place it on the outer corner. Now, be very mindful of where you're placing this, because a lot of people tend to place it on the outer edge of the eye, all the way on the face. We don't want to pass where the eyeball actually ends, so we want to make sure that right there where we feel the bone, we're not passing this line. If you need to keep your finger there as a guard, do it, but you want to make sure you keep this color on your actual eyelid. Take that flat side of the brush and create a 7 shape just on the outer lid and into the crease. See how it doesn't make it look like my eye is dragging down, but instead it creates more of a lift. And before we blend, we want to just fill in that gap. If you want your eye to look a little bit more smoky, you're gonna bring this inwards more. If you want it to look more natural, you can keep it as is. Going back in with that fluffy side of the brush, and we're just going to do a soft circular motion just on the edge. As you see, I have very light pressure, so I'm not holding my brush all the way like this or all the way like this. It's just kind of in between and doing that soft circular motion. You can see already how we have so much definition to our eye with just those 2 shades. Finish off with the last shade, which is that Shimmer Lid Shade. I like to apply my shimmers with my fingers because I get the best color payoff this way. Tap that all over the lid. If you want your eye to look larger, you're just going to place that a little bit higher than what you think you would, just to create a more open eye effect. You can see just how simple and easy eyeshadow really is. As long as you have that crease shade, the outer corner shade, and a lid shade, I promise you, you can get this. The more that you practice, the easier that it gets.